At just 25, Xia Xinghe already looked like a worn-out 35-year-old. All thanks to one failed marriage. No money, no house, no looks left. And every job interview ended in rejection. Move along. We don't hire anyone over 30. The HR didn't even bother to glance at her resume. She was only 25, yet that marriage had drained her of youth and dignity. Meanwhile, her ex-husband Shi Mubai was thriving. Now a successful bachelor, he was surrounded by gorgeous young women. Just then Xia Xinghe turned around and caught sight of Shi Mubai looking polished and triumphant. And her own defeated state? It was on full display for him to see. That failed marriage had left no mark on him, but had nearly destroyed her. Shi Mubai stared in disbelief. Are you Xia Xinghe? The stunning woman beside him gasped theatrically. Oh my, what happened to you? Xia Xinghe felt a flush of embarrassment and shame. She just wanted to run. You've got the wrong person. I'm not Xia Xinghe, she blurted out, flustered. Ignoring Shi Mubai's shouts behind her, she dashed off without a second glance. Holding back tears, she kept telling herself, they can't see me like this. Not like this. But Shi Mubai wouldn't give up. He chased after her relentlessly. After a stretch of desperate running, he finally caught her wrist. Just as he tried to step closer, she yanked herself free with force. I never want to see you again, Shi Mubai, she screamed, voice trembling. In that very moment, a car came speeding from the corner. Shi Mubai shouted at the top of his lungs, watch out, car. But it was too late. A violent crash echoed through the street and then silence. Xia Xinghe's consciousness faded. She could almost feel butterflies fluttering gently around her. With her eyes closed, she saw memories of her childhood, playing and laughing with her father. How carefree she had been then, untouched by pain or sorrow. Turns out, she wasn't always the forgotten, unloved Xia Xinghe. She was rushed to the hospital, where doctors diagnosed her with a mild concussion. But what shocked Shi Mubai more was discovering her long-term malnutrition. He frowned. How? I gave her plenty of money after the divorce. How could she end up like this? Just then a tear slipped down Xia Xinghe's cheek, and Shi Mubai's heart clenched. Outside the room, Chu Tianxin stared coldly. Xia Xinghe, you were never a match for me. No. Old and broken, you're even less of one. Chu Tianxin gently wrapped her arm around Shi Mubai's and said sweetly, let's go. Everyone's waiting for us to finalize the wedding plans. With that, the two of them walked away, leaving Xia Xinghe alone in the hospital room. That night, Xia Xinghe jolted awake, her body trembling. I remember now, all the memories I'd lost, they're back. Meanwhile, at the engagement party, Shi Mubai and Chu Tianxin sat together, discussing their upcoming wedding. But Shi Mubai remained distant, clearly lost in thought. Chu Tianxin feigned innocence. Mubai, are you still thinking about Xia Xinghe? I still can't believe she let herself fall apart like that. She got so much alimony, Shi Mubai thought, yet she still managed to ruin herself. Beside them, his mother was beaming with approval. Young, beautiful, and obedient, she loved this new daughter-in-law. Without hesitation, she set the wedding date right at the dinner table. Suddenly, crash. A glass was knocked over, shattering on the floor. The young boy clenched his fists and shouted angrily, "You're not." Then he suddenly leapt off his chair, startling Chu Tianxin into stumbling backward. Shi Mubai quickly picked him up and took him to the bathroom, crouching down to ask gently, "What's wrong?" The boy, eyes red with emotion, shouted, "I don't like Auntie Chu." Shi Mubai was caught off guard. After all, Chu Tianxin was his most suitable marriage candidate. He asked softly, "Why don't you like her?" The boy said bitterly, "Because she's only nice to me so she can marry you." Then, shoulders slumped, he walked toward the door and muttered, "Marry whoever you want. I don't matter anyway." That pushed Shi Mubai over the edge. "Who taught you to talk to your father like that?" he snapped. The boy stopped, turned back with tears in his eyes and cried, "Kids without moms don't get taught anything, right?" Suddenly his phone rang. When Shi Mubai answered, his face froze in shock. A terrified nurse on the line stammered, "Mr. Shi? Xia Xinghe. She just escaped from the hospital." That night, Shi Mubai sped through the streets, frantically searching. "She's still badly injured. Where could she possibly go?" He gritted his teeth, anger flaring. Does she care nothing about her life? Meanwhile, Xia Xinghe had walked into a police station. alone, determined, and filed a report. The officer stared at her in disbelief. "You're saying that car crash 6 years ago was intentional?" She began to recount. 6 years ago, when her father was critically ill, she rushed back from overseas. But a mysterious car tailed them the entire way, refusing to let up. The butler tried to lose them, but the vehicle just kept closing in. Eventually, a tight corner left them trapped in a dead end. With a violent crash, their car was hit and sent flying. As everything spun into chaos, Xia Xinghe's consciousness began to fade. And just before her world went black, she saw a man, grinning triumphantly. The officer was stunned. This frail, worn-out woman was once a top student from a prestigious university? Xia Xinghe went on, "I suspect it was my stepmother and her daughter. After her father's death, she, his only biological child, didn't receive a single cent of inheritance. Stranger still, right before his passing, he had her married off to the Qi family." After filing the report, Xia Xinghe walked home alone, her shadow stretching long under the cold streetlights. She couldn't understand, how had someone like her, once so brilliant, become a forgotten, washed-out woman? Was it that crash? Or that doomed marriage? Back home, she told her uncle that her memories had finally returned. "Those who stole from the Xia family, I'll make sure every last piece is taken back." Only now did Mubai finally start looking into Xia Xinghe's life after the divorce. He discovered she had taken on multiple jobs just to support her aging uncle and younger brother. In the process, she endured bullying and discrimination, and at 25 she looked closer to 35. Hearing this, Mubai felt a storm of emotions. Where did all the alimony I gave her go? He rushed home to confront his mother. "Mom, did Xia Xinghe ever receive the alimony I gave her?" His mother waved him off, annoyed. "That's ancient history. Why are you digging that up now?" Mubai's voice rose in fury. "You never gave it to her. Why didn't you tell me?" She snapped. "She didn't want it. You know how stubborn and weird that Xia Xinghe is. She's not your responsibility anymore. She's got hands and feet, she won't starve." Mubai frowned deeply. "If Lin knew what kind of person you've become, he'd blame me." He clenched his fist and made a silent vow. "Xinghe, I swear, I'll make it right." Meanwhile, Xia Xinghe gently stroked a photo of her child, eyes full of longing. All she wanted now was to reunite with her baby as soon as possible. The next morning, Mubai hurried over to find Xia Xinghe. "Xinghe, I need to talk to you." He handed her a check, his way of trying to make up for past mistakes. But as Xia Xinghe looked at it, she felt nothing but bitter irony. Years of youth and love, and all she got in return was a piece of paper? As expected, she refused firmly. "I didn't take your money when we divorced, and I won't take it now. Just take care of our child. Now leave, please." Mubai stood there, stunned. "Xinghe, you've really changed." But Xia Xinghe knew, if she wanted her child back, she had to pull herself together now. She took over an urgent project from her brother's company, one that everyone else had been avoiding. Once a top university student, even after years as a housewife, the moment she touched the keyboard again, her fire reignited. Her coding skills left her brother absolutely speechless. His stay-at-home sister was suddenly coding like a lightning bolt. Within minutes, she cracked a technical issue that had plagued the team for days. Her level of skill wasn't just impressive, it was genius tier in the entire industry. For a moment, her brother was completely starstruck. He now looked up to Xia Xinghe like she was a legend. But when he went to the company to deliver the project, he unexpectedly ran into his former brother-in-law, Mubai. Mubai frowned and asked the secretary, "Why is he here?" The secretary replied excitedly, "He's here on behalf of that coding genius who's been making waves in the industry. It's his sister, Xia Xinghe. She completed the entire project." Mubai froze. "Can't be. Xia Xinghe is the one everyone's talking about?" That evening, just as Xia Xinghe and her brother returned home, they saw a crowd gathered outside their door. "Move out now. If you don't leave, I'll start smashing things." The landlord was yelling furiously, forcing eviction. "You're out today, no excuses." Their uncle tried desperately to protect the few belongings left, but he was no match for the brute force. One punch sent him crashing to the ground. Xia Xinghe and her brother rushed inside in panic to help him. But Xia Xinghe sensed something was off. She stepped closer to the landlord, voice cold and firm. Who sent you? Tell me now or I'll see you in court. The once arrogant landlord broke into a cold sweat, intimidated by the fire in her eyes despite her thin frame. It was a woman. Last name Wu. She paid me to force you out. Xia Xinghe clenched her jaw, fury burning in her chest. So, it was her. Late that night, their frail uncle was rushed into emergency surgery. But the cost for full resuscitation and treatment was astronomical. For the siblings, it felt like an impossible number, completely out of reach. Standing outside the operating room, her brother whispered, "Sis, I only have $50 left." Without hesitation, Xia Xinghe reached out. "Give it to me, I've got a way." No one could have imagined that her turning point would begin in a dusty internet cafe. Clutching the hospital's payment notice, she stared at the screen. 300,000 yuan. I'll earn it right here. Once a top student at a prestigious university, she now used her hacking skills to earn her first pot of gold. After a flurry of keystrokes, her first 5,000 yuan landed in her account, in less than 30 minutes. The steady stream of transaction alerts on her phone left her brother drenched in cold sweat. By the time the sun rose, her all-night grind had miraculously covered the full cost of their uncle's surgery. Meanwhile, chaos erupted at Shimubai's company. Someone had hacked their systems the night before. Furious, he swore to uncover the hacker's identity and meet this computer genius face-to-face. Still, he reluctantly followed his mother's orders and went with his second fiancée to try on wedding dresses. But his mind wasn't in it. He kept worrying about how Xia Xinghe was doing. It wasn't until then that a subordinate finally reported. Her uncle had been hospitalized just days ago. Ignoring Chu Tianxin's protests, Shimubai immediately ordered his men to check the hospital. Why? He wondered. Why does Xia Xinghe keep refusing my financial help when her life is clearly so difficult? And his reaction didn't go unnoticed. Chu Tianxin's jealousy toward Xia Xinghe quietly ignited into full-blown hatred. In no time, Shimubai and Chu Tianxin arrived in a flurry at the hospital where Xia Xinghe was staying. Chu Tianxin stepped forward with a concerned look. "Xinghe, I heard you can't afford your uncle's treatment. You're Xiaolin's mom. We just wanted to help." Xia Xinghe didn't even look at her. That tone, it wasn't kindness. It was charity, plain and cold. Chu Tianxin forced a bitter smile. "Now's really not the time to be stubborn, is it?" Xia Xinghe finally had enough. "Can you just shut up?" Looking wounded, Chu Tianxin turned to her fiancé. "Mubai, I'm only doing this for her own good." Xia Xinghe finally had enough. "Can you just shut up?" Gone was the submissive housewife. In her place stood a woman with fire and confidence in her eyes. After a pause, he pulled out a check. "Take it. Then we'll be even." But to Xia Xinghe, that piece of paper stung more than anything else. This is how you think you make things right." Without a word, she took the check and tore it to shreds right in front of them. Then she looked up and said calmly, "As you wished. We're even now." Chu Tianxin was stunned, jaw practically hitting the floor. "Are you insane? That was a check for 100 million. Shimubai lowered his gaze in shame, fists clenched. "Looks like I was being foolish." Just as Chu Tianxin was about to add fuel to the fire, a doctor walked over and informed them. The 300,000 yuan surgery fee had already been paid in full. Shimubai couldn't take it anymore. "That's enough," he snapped, then turned and walked away without looking back. Left fuming, Chu Tianxin glared at Xia Xinghe. "I'm about to marry Mubai. And you'll never be better than me." Xia Xinghe scoffed. "Please. He was a man I threw away. You're just picking up what I didn't want." Chu Tianxin's face twisted with rage. "You'll regret this. One day I'll make you kneel and beg for my forgiveness." Her brother had seen enough. He leaned in with a mischievous grin. "Sis, want me to help you get revenge? Let her taste what it feels like to be humiliated." Meanwhile, last night's incident left a lingering doubt in Shimubai's heart. Is Chu Tianxin really the right person to become my son's new mother? Late at night, her brother successfully hacked into Chu Tianxin's computer and muttered, "Sis, there's no way Shimubai actually likes her." Xia Xinghe glanced at the photos of her ex-husband with Chu Tianxin, but her face remained calm. To Shimubai, it was all just a transaction. There was never any real affection. Then she stumbled upon several romance novels written by Chu Tianxin herself. A smirk formed on her lips. Well then, why not put these to good use? This time, Chu Tianxin, you brought it on yourself. After a few swift moves by Xia Xinghe, the business world was in an uproar. Screenshots of Chu Tianxin's absurd posts began circulating rapidly, eventually landing on Shimubai's desk. The dignified CEO's fiancé posting such scandalous content? It was a PR nightmare. Shimubai called her immediately, his tone icy. I don't care what happened. You have 10 minutes. Delete everything. Chu Tianxin was completely confused. Before she could explain, the line went dead. She stomped her feet in frustration. I've pissed off so many people. How am I supposed to know who did this? Xia Xinghe's next move was clear. Reclaim the house that was rightfully hers. Back at the estate, the old housekeeper gasped in disbelief. Miss Xinghe, is that really you? But her stepmother Wu Rong screeched, Miss? Chenma, have you lost your mind? Call security. Not every stray can walk into my home. Xia Xinghe sneered. Your home? Wu Rong, how exactly did my father die? How did I end up in that car crash? And what did you tamper with in the inheritance? That's when Wu Rong realized the once defeated heiress had regained her memory, and she was here to collect. Throw Xia Xinghe out now, she ordered. But Xia Xinghe ignored the guards and walked straight into the house. She knelt by a wall panel and tapped gently, then smiled. We'll see soon enough whose house this really is. In the next moment, she pulled out a hidden property deed from a compartment behind the wall. Wu Rong's face turned pale with rage. Impossible. How is that even here? Furious, she lunged at Xia Xinghe. You ungrateful brat. I'll teach you a lesson your father never did. But Xia Xinghe spun elegantly and sent her crashing to the floor. Standing tall, she declared, This is my house. Keep pushing and I'll call the police. Then with a calm smile she added, Actually, you're right. Abuse and trespassing are disgraceful. That's why I've already reported you. Just as the words left her mouth, a servant rushed in. The police car is here. It's parked right outside. Hearing that, Wu Rong panicked. If the police get involved and dig into the past, I'm done for. Weighing her options, she chose the coward's path, swallowing her pride and fleeing for now. Xia Xinghe called after her, voice cold as ice. And the rest? I'll take it back with interest. Reclaiming the house was only step one. She would take back everything that belonged to her. But just as she turned, she spotted someone standing on the balcony of the villa across the street. Her ex-husband, Shimubai. Turns out he had been silently watching her all along. And Xia Xinghe's next move was to fight for custody of her child. That afternoon, just as she stepped out to handle some business, she noticed Shimubai trailing behind her. He finally spoke up. There's something I want to talk to you about. It's about Xiaolin. He doesn't say it out loud, but I can tell he really cares about you. If you're willing, would you come to his 4th birthday party? When Xia Xinghe nodded, a subtle, unreadable smile crept onto Shimubai's face. That afternoon, Xia Xinghe finally brought her uncle and younger brother to the villa she had reclaimed. The two were thrilled, thinking the hard days were finally over. Her brother grinned. Sis, we're really gonna live well now. I'm gonna grab something good to celebrate. But 3 hours passed, and he still hadn't returned. Suddenly her phone rang. It was her brother. Sis, something came up at school. I won't be back tonight. Xia Xinghe's heart sank. No, something's wrong. He's in trouble. She rushed out of the neighborhood, only to find her brother bruised and bloodied, sitting helplessly on the ground. After some digging, she learned the assault happened in a blind spot. No surveillance coverage. But with persistence, she found 2 suspicious figures on nearby security footage. Xiaoji had never caused trouble in his life. The only explanation? He was targeted because of her. Without hesitation, Xia Xinghe got to work, fingers flying across the keyboard as she traced digital footprints. And sure enough, the mastermind behind the attack was none other than her stepmother's son-in-law, Hui Ming. That evening, Wu Rong sipped her tea leisurely and sneered, If that little tramp was the one who got beaten up, I'd sleep so much better tonight. Her daughter, nestled in her husband's arms, echoed, Don't worry, Mom. Sooner or later we'll settle that score with her. Cui Ming chuckled smugly. Once our contract with the She Group is finalized, I'll make sure she pays dearly. Wu Rong's expression changed the moment she heard she group. Wait, isn't that Xia Xinghe's ex-husband's company? Cui Ming nodded confidently. Exactly. I invested heavily in this partnership. Hired one of the top cybersecurity teams to develop antivirus software. This deal could make up 80% of our profits once we lock it in. Once the deal is done, Xia Xinghe's downfall will be inevitable. Meanwhile, on Xia Xinghe's end, her fingers danced across the keyboard, and the so-called elite antivirus software was cracked in no time. She scoffed. This is what they call a top-tier product? Pathetic. Her eyes narrowed with purpose. I was just looking for a way to raise some funds to rebrand myself. Well then, thanks in advance, Cui Ming. The next morning, chaos erupted in Cui Ming's office. He slammed his fist on the desk, yelling, "Useless. All of you." His subordinates trembled, stammering, "Boss, it's not that we're not trying. This hacker is just insanely skilled." Cui Ming was livid. "I wasted a fortune hiring you all. Now what about the deal with the Shi Group? It's on the line." Right then, a final warning came in from the Shi Group. "Fix the issue or the deal is off for good." Desperate, Cui Ming shouted, "Whoever solves this in 3 days, I'll pay 5 million. Unsurprisingly, 3 days passed, and the issue remained unresolved. Just then a message popped up on his screen. "I'm Hacker 001. I can solve your problem." Slender fingers danced across a keyboard. "But 5 million isn't enough. I'll fix it in 24 hours for 10 million. On the other side of the screen, Xia Xinghe worked calmly and efficiently. Her lightning-fast typing left her brother speechless. Within minutes, the entire antivirus system had been flawlessly repaired. Her brother blinked. "Sis, why'd you help them patch it? Aren't they the enemy?" Before she could answer, a notification chimed. "Payment received, 11 million. He even sent an extra million. Sis, you're incredible." But Xia Xinghe remained perfectly composed. "This is just the beginning. The real show is yet to come." The city-shaking hacker incident soon reached Shimubai's ears. He learned that the mysterious Hacker 001 had solved Cui Ming's crisis for 10 million, then flatly rejected a lucrative job offer. 001, Shimubai murmured. "I'm getting more and more intrigued by her." Meanwhile, Xia Xinghe received an anonymous message. 001 $1 million challenge. "You in?" She scoffed at the screen. "Only 1 million? Fine, guess I'll humor you." But as she traced the IP, her eyes narrowed. Wait, this is coming from the Shi Group's server. On the other end, Shimubai sat in his office, eyes glued to the monitor, waiting for a reply from 001. Once Xia Xinghe realized it was her ex-husband, her first instinct was to log off immediately. But he messaged again. "Don't rush off. I'm here to talk business. I've heard about you. Why not come work for my company?" She paused for only a second, then typed back coldly, "Not interested." That reply made Shimubai's temper flare. "Fine. Let's see who you really are." But before he could dig further, Xia Xinghe had already severed the connection, dodging the confrontation. And yet, this swift retreat only made Shimubai even more obsessed with uncovering the true identity of this elusive hacker. With Xiaolin's birthday party the next day, Chu Tianxin feigned generosity. "Why don't we invite Xia Xinghe to attend?" Shimubai's mother frowned in disapproval. "I don't think that's appropriate. They've been divorced for so long, having her there would be embarrassing." But in truth, Chu Tianxin had no intention of being kind. She just wanted to see Xia Xinghe humiliated in a high-class setting. The mother-in-law smiled gently and reassured her, "Don't worry. At tomorrow's party, I'll officially announce your engagement to Mubai." Chu Tianxin beamed at the news. "Perfect. She'll hear it with her own ears, who the real Mrs. Shi is now." On the day of the party, a striking red Ferrari pulled up to the Shi family estate. Its luxurious and commanding presence drew instant attention. Bystanders whispered, "Must be some powerful C." The car door opened and the first thing to step out was a dazzling high heel. When the figure emerged, the security guards turned red with embarrassment. None dared meet her eyes. Hiding behind a pillar, Xiaolin choked back a sob. "Mom." He had come early, worried his mom would be hurt if she heard about his dad's remarriage without warning. Inside the party, just as everything was in full swing, an assistant rushed in. We found the young master but he's... Before he could finish, the scene before them left Shimubai stunned. His son was joyfully pulling Xia Xinghe by the hand, shouting, "Daddy! Mommy's here!" 3 years post-divorce, this radiant and confident woman, could she really be the same Xia Xinghe he had left behind? In that moment, Shimubai forgot all about the woman standing beside him, his gaze locked entirely on Xia Xinghe. Chu Tianqing was equally stunned. How could this be Xia Xinghe? That washed-up woman? How could she afford all this? Forcing a smile, she said sweetly, "Xinghe, what a lovely outfit. Where'd you borrow it from?" Xia Xinghe didn't even glance at her. She walked past with graceful indifference. The sight of the reunited family standing together radiated brilliance. They were the center of attention. Chu Tianqing seethed, fists clenched. "Summer Xinghe, enjoy this while you can. Soon you'll be hearing about our wedding." Meanwhile, Shimubai watched his ex-wife in silence, finally noticing a glow in her he had never seen before. Just before blowing out his candles, Xiaolin made his wish with innocent joy. "I wish mommy and daddy could stay together forever." The entire room fell into stunned silence. Guests began to whisper, "Is the kid wishing for a reunion? Isn't Shimubai supposed to remarry soon? Honestly, he looks better with his ex-wife." What no one knew was, Xia Xinghe wasn't here to rekindle anything. She had only one goal, to grow stronger and win back custody of her child. Suddenly, Shimubai's mother stood up in a fury. "Xia Xinghe, what's the meaning of this?" Xia Xinghe blinked in confusion. 3 years divorced and she still hates me this much? The older woman snapped. "You came here just to stir trouble, didn't you? You're divorced, stop dreaming." Xia Xinghe glanced at Shimubai and replied coolly, "Oh? Did I try to seduce him? The only man here who matters to me," she said calmly, "is my son." Clearly, divorce hadn't ended the long-standing tension between her and her former mother-in-law. Quietly, Shimubai leaned in and murmured, "Xing, what my mother said wasn't what I wanted." But Xia Xinghe had no interest in this tired drama. She just wanted to leave as quickly as possible. Unbeknownst to her, those brief moments had already etched themselves deeply into Shimubai's heart. He couldn't stop thinking about her. Just as Xia Xinghe was about to leave, she was blocked by her stepsister Wu Shuang, who sneered, "Looks like the Shi family still sees you as nothing." Xia Xinghe didn't even bother to argue. This wasn't worth her time. She simply moved to walk past. But Wu Shuang suddenly grabbed her arm, shouting, "Why did Dad give everything to you?" Xia Xinghe responded with icy calm, "Because I'm the only rightful daughter of the Xia family." Then she leaned in slightly and whispered threateningly, "Want to know how I'll get back at you?" No sooner had the words left her mouth than Wu Shuang dramatically collapsed into her arms. Before Xia Xinghe could react, Wu Shuang threw herself to the ground, clutching her stomach. "Ah, my belly, it hurts." Cui Ming quickly stepped in, playing along. "Wu Shuang, what's wrong?" Wu Shuang wailed tearfully, "She tried to harm me and the baby. Someone call the police." Xia Xinghe rolled her eyes at the performance. "Seriously? You took my family's wealth and now you want to frame me for assault too?" Wu Shuang sobbed pitifully, tears rolling down her cheeks. "Don't blame her. She's my sister after all." The crowd erupted. Whispers turned to gasps. "She pushed her own sister? How heartless can you be?" All eyes turned accusingly towards Xia Xinghe. In no time the police arrived and Xia Xinghe was immediately accused of attempted harm. Calm and composed she answered, "She's framing me." But Cui Ming grew increasingly furious. "Why haven't you arrested her yet? Should we just pull up the surveillance footage ourselves?" Pressured by his aggression, the officers hesitated, then moved to detain Xia Xinghe. Just then a firm male voice cut through the noise. "Stop." It was Shimubai, her ex-husband. He stepped forward, calm and steady. "I believe Xia Xinghe. She wouldn't do such a thing." Xia Xinghe added flatly, "And if someone's lying to the police, that's a serious crime too." The officers exchanged uneasy glances, one of them sneaking a glance toward Cui Ming, who loomed nearby. That was the last straw for Xia Xinghe. What's this? Even law enforcement has to bow to the Cui family now. Cui Ming, feeling cornered, quickly tried to de-escalate. "Hey now, don't get the wrong idea. We never said it was definitely you. We just want the facts." Xia Xinghe gave a cold smile. Fine. Let's blow this up. She turned to the guests. Can anyone here testify? I'm afraid Mr. and Mrs. Cui will deny everything later. Her words hung in the air, but no one dared respond. The weight of the Cui family's influence silenced the crowd. Until Shi Mubai stepped forward. I'll testify. After all, this happened at my family's event. His eyes turned sharp. Since that's the case, let's not hold back. Let's find out who's lying. In the next moment, Xia Xinghe pulled out a recording pen from her bag. The moment Wu Shuang saw it, her face twisted with rage. As the audio played, her entire scheme, the staged fall, the false accusation, was exposed for all to hear. With everyone watching, Cui Ming lunged forward, trying to grab the device. You liar. You're framing us. But Shi Mubai stepped in front of Xia Xinghe, blocking him. You still won't admit it? Wu Shuang clung to denial, shouting, That's fake. That's not my voice. Shi Mubai looked toward the police. Do I really need to say it? You know who needs to be arrested. Cui Ming panicked and stepped forward. You can't arrest someone just because of a recording. That's not enough. Seeing the tables turn, Wu Shuang burst into tears, clutching her stomach. What about my poor baby? But Xia Xinghe shot back with a smirk. You know better than anyone if there's even a baby in there. Shi Mubai stepped forward calmly. Then let's have a proper medical examination, just to be sure. Wu Shuang froze. What was meant to be a trap had suddenly become her downfall. To make matters worse, a medical expert was actually present at the event, and volunteered to assist on the spot. Realizing things were spiraling out of control, Cui Ming suddenly turned on his wife, grabbing her hand. Wu Shuang, tell me the truth. Did you frame Xia Xinghe? Wu Shuang broke down completely. I didn't want it to go this far. I hated her so much. It's her fault. Xia Xinghe took all of Dad's love away from me. Xia Xinghe's gaze turned icy. Then why don't you tell everyone? How did my father really die? And how exactly did the Xia family's fortune end up in your hands? The crowd erupted. Whispers turned into condemnation. A foster daughter stealing the estate? That's shameless. Cornered, Wu Shuang still tried to argue. You're twisting the truth. You're slandering me. But in the end, she was escorted away by police for investigation, charged with making false accusations. As she was taken away, Cui Ming stood at the edge of the crowd, eyes dark with rage. Xia Xinghe, this isn't over. But before Cui Ming could make a move, Xia Xinghe had already mapped out her next counterattack. Late at night, she and her brother quietly visited a rundown apartment to find someone long forgotten. This man had once been a startup founder, whose success was stolen by none other than Cui Ming. It was through that theft that Cui Ming gained his foothold in the tech world and rose to prominence. After hearing the story, her brother was stunned. Wow, those two really are a perfect match, in how rotten they are. The red Ferrari pulled up next to the shabby building, creating a striking visual contrast. Xia Xinghe narrowed her eyes. No more waiting. Now it's my turn to take everything back in one clean sweep. Just then, the landlady outside shouted furiously, Are you paying the rent or not? You think I'll let you freeload again? No money, get out. The man inside clenched his fists. I wouldn't be living like this if it weren't for that bastard Cui Ming. The landlord chuckled darkly. And that crazy sister of his. She doesn't look so crazy to me. Suddenly, Xia Xinghe and her brother kicked open the door, ignoring any protests. In the corner of the cramped room sat a frail woman, her posture slouched, her eyes dull. The man turned pale and rushed forward, shouting, Don't touch my sister. But the next second, Xiaomo was kicked to the ground by the landlord. Tough guy, huh? Let's see how long that lasts. Suddenly, a scream echoed from inside the room. Xiaomo's face turned pale. No. Something's happened to my sister. The landlady snarled, yanking the woman's hair. Fine, she can pay the rent with her body. Xiaomo was filled with remorse. Once a tech prodigy, now nothing but a wreck watching his sister suffer. Just then, a calm but firm voice cut through the chaos. Stop. I'll pay what he owes. After they left, the woman curled up in a corner, shaking and unable to speak. Xiaomo looked up wary. Who are you? Why would you pay our debt? Xia Xinghe gave a mysterious smile. I want you to kill someone for me. His expression twisted. You want me, To kill someone? Are you insane? Xia Xinghe remained composed. I'm offering you a deal. In exchange, your sister will never have to suffer again. Xiao Emo turned away, voice low and cold. If I really did that, she'd never be happy anyway. Xia Xinghe added calmly, what if the man I want you to kill is Cui Ming? He's our mutual enemy. Xiao Emo frowned. And why should I believe you? 10 million. As a down payment, she replied without hesitation. The offer made him waver. That kind of money could finally get his sister the treatment she needed. He clenched his fists. It's all Cui Ming's fault. He ruined her life. After a brief silence, he nodded. I'll do it. I'd do anything if it means saving her. But Xia Xinghe smirked. The killing part? That was just bait. I brought you here for something else. What she really needed was someone who could stand up to Cui Ming in the tech world. Her mission for him was clear. Build a program in 5 days that could destroy Cui Ming's empire. Xiao Emo slammed the table. Do you even understand computers? That's years of work. But when he looked at her screen, his jaw dropped. Xia Xinghe had already built the core system in half a day. Wait, this money might be way too easy. 5 days later, Xia Xinghe was about to take Xiao Emo to the most crucial hacking competition. But suddenly a group of officers blocked their path. You're being sued for false accusations. Please come with us. Her brother was stunned. There must be some mistake. My sister didn't do anything. They soon found out. It was Cui Ming again, deliberately launching this at the exact moment of the competition. The brother wanted to argue, but Xinghe stopped him. I'll go with them. Xiaoji, do exactly what I told you. Go compete. Watching his sister get taken away, the only option left was to find that person she mentioned. At the competition, Xiaoji stepped away, leaving Xiao Emo alone to run the test. And that's when Xiao Emo came face to face with the man who had ruined everything, Cui Ming. The man who had stolen his code and destroyed every chance of a comeback. He and his sister had lived like fugitives ever since, crawling through life like ants. Staring at the giant screen on stage, Xiao Emo clenched his fists. This is it. Today I rise again. Suddenly, Cui Ming pointed at Xiao Emo and shouted, Thief! Grab him! Before Xiao Emo could react, 2 bodyguards had already slammed him to the ground. In the struggle, the hard drive containing the competition software was flung across the floor. The scene was hauntingly familiar. It was just like that time years ago when Cui Ming framed him and got him thrown in jail. Back then, his sister had tried to save him, only to be mercilessly violated by that monster. And now, with the hard drive in his hands again, was history really about to repeat itself? Cui Ming grinned wickedly. Want it back? Fine. Get on your knees and give me 3 loud kowtows. Inside the police station, her stepmother arrived as expected, dragging Wu Shuang along to provoke her. Wu Shuang smirked cruelly. Get ready to pay a price worse than death. Their lawyer chimed in with malicious glee. You're facing a year in prison and a 20 million yuan compensation lawsuit. Wu Shuang added smugly, go ahead, beg me. Maybe I'll show you mercy. But Xia Xinghe only scoffed coldly. Beg you? You're not even worth it. Her stepmother exploded with rage, cursing, you arrogant little brat. She lunged forward and grabbed Xinghe's collar, raising her hand to slap her. But in the next second she was kicked to the ground by Xinghe, crying out in pain. Furious, Wu Shuang shouted, make her kneel. Now. Shockingly, the police obeyed, using force to try and press Xinghe to her knees. Just as Wu Shuang moved in to strike as well, someone stepped forward and barked, stop right there. It turned out the man sent by Shimubai arrived just in time to rescue Xinghe. But Wu Shuang still refused to back down, shouting at the chief, she's the one who framed us. Before she could finish, a sharp slap landed across her face, silencing her instantly. Furious, Wu Shuang tried to fight back, lunging forward in rage. But the police held her back, forcing her to watch helplessly as Xinghe walked out on bail. Enraged, the mother and daughter fumed, if you don't arrest her, we'll sue you for misconduct. Just then, Shimubai's lawyer stepped up. You're both being charged with intentional assault. See you in court. The stepmother snapped, you're just a petty lawyer. Keep your nose out of this or else. But Wu Shuang quickly stopped her, whispering, Mom, not now. Deep down, her hatred simmered. He won't protect you forever, Xinghe. Just wait. But in the next moment, Xinghe suddenly slammed Wu Shuang against the wall with one swift move. Leaning in close, she whispered coldly, I didn't lose today. Tomorrow? That'll be your funeral. Xia Xinghe rushed back to the hacker competition in a flash. As soon as she sat down, her fingers danced across the keyboard with stunning precision. Shi Mubai's jaw practically hit the floor. Only then did he recall. This woman, trapped in domestic life for 3 years, was once a star student at a top university. In just 10 minutes, she tore through 2 layers of the opponent's defenses. Cui Ming gritted his teeth, his face twisted with rage. Xia Xinghe, you just wait. Then a sinister idea struck him. He leaned over and whispered an order to his subordinate. Meanwhile, Shi Mubai couldn't take his eyes off his ex-wife. At this moment she was absolutely radiant. Just as the match neared its end, Xinghe's younger brother came running in, pale-faced. Sis. Bad news. Dad's been kidnapped. Xinghe paused, her fingers hovering, and stared coldly in Cui Ming's direction. But within seconds she resumed typing as if nothing had happened. Cui Ming was stunned. Unfazed? Xinghe kept typing and calmly told her brother, relax. It's a bluff. No one can pull off a kidnapping in 10 minutes. A few minutes later, Xia Xinghe calmly walked to the edge of the stage, eyes fixed on Cui Ming. Cui Ming, she said coldly, you've lost. Cui Ming exploded in anger. The results aren't even out yet. Where's all that confidence coming from? He snarled at his men, teach her a lesson. Now. But before anyone could move, a powerful aura surged from behind. Shi Mubai stepped forward, voice icy, touch her and you'll answer to me. Just then the big screen began flashing. The final results of the hacker competition were about to be announced. But Shi Mubai couldn't care less. His gaze was locked on Xia Xinghe, completely captivated. The crowd erupted as the host revealed the winner. Xia Xinghe's team with their ex-butler program had taken first place. Cui Ming stared at the screen, frozen in disbelief, defeated by a software that was just newly developed. Beside him, Tang Jun gloated. In the attack test, ex-butler passed with a 100% rate. Yours? Only 95%. Refusing to accept the loss, Cui Ming roared, demanding a retest. Xiao Imo replied calmly, the testing center ran it dozens of times. Just admit it, you lost. Xiaji also chimed in at the perfect moment. Cui Ming, don't forget the bet you made earlier. Ever the instigator, Tang Jun smirked and added, or are you planning to borrow someone else's software again like last time? Cui Ming felt the world spin. Never had he imagined himself so publicly humiliated and powerless. Xia Xinghe looked at him with a faint smile. What's the matter, Mr. Cui? You were brave enough to bet but not to lose. Cui Ming stared blankly at her, finally understanding the crushing humiliation he once forced Xiao Imo to endure. Hesitating for just a moment, a foot suddenly kicked the back of Cui Ming's knee, forcing him to kneel. He knew full well, after this crushing defeat, the Cui Group's reputation and stock prices would likely take a major hit. And if he backed out now, his credibility would be utterly destroyed. Clenching his fists, he shouted Xia Xinghe's name with rage. Xia Xinghe raised an eyebrow and smirked, louder. I didn't quite hear that. Humiliated and furious, Cui Ming finally gritted his teeth and shouted 3 times, I lost. As he stood up, his eyes burned with hatred. He swore he'd never let this go. Then he suddenly noticed a chair nearby. With a roar, he grabbed it and hurled it straight at Xia Xinghe. Caught off guard, Xia Xinghe froze, not expecting him to lash out so suddenly. Luckily, Shi Mubai reacted instantly, pulling her aside just in time to avoid the blow. Seeing how composed Xia Xinghe remained even after nearly getting attacked, Shi Mubai felt another wave of surprise. This woman was far tougher than he thought. As Xia Xinghe calmly dusted herself off and turned to leave, Shi Mubai stepped forward and stopped her. In the lounge, the two sat across from each other in tense silence. Shi Mubai went straight to the point, pulling out a contract and asking Xia Xinghe to sign. Xia Xinghe replied calmly, I have only one condition. Split the profits 70-30. You take 70, I take 30. Shi Mubai looked puzzled. Xia Xinghe gave a faint smile. Consider it my thanks for saving me today. Shi Mubai's gaze darkened slightly. You don't have to thank me. You're Xiao Lin's mother. But Xia Xinghe's tone turned cold. Don't bring up Shaolin. We're already divorced. You and I have nothing to do with each other. Meanwhile, a battered and furious Cui Ming returned home, only to find the very woman he blamed for his downfall. Rage consumed him as he lunged forward, grabbing Wu Shuang by the neck. His voice was icy. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have ended up like this. Wu Shuang gasped, completely confused. With a roar, Cui Ming flung her to the ground. You're the one Xia Xinghe hates. It's because of you that she's going after me. Because of you, the entire Cui group is collapsing. Wu Shuang, terrified and out of breath, stammered, What are you talking about? A newspaper suddenly slammed into her face, accompanied by Cui Ming's furious roar. See for yourself. Wu Shuang glanced down, and when she saw the headline about Cui Group's plummeting stocks, her eyes widened in utter disbelief. Cui Ming's face twisted with rage as he shouted, This disaster is your doing. You'd better fix it now, or be buried along with the company. A crazed, venomous glint flashed in Wu Shuang's eyes. Xia Xinghe, you brought this on yourself. Without delay, Wu Shuang reported everything to Wu Rong. The moment she heard it, Wu Rong was stunned. She never imagined that Xia Xinghe, after regaining her memory, would become this fierce and capable. Her gaze turned cold as she muttered, If I don't strike now, she'll eliminate me next. It's time to bring in Black Third. Tonight, that bitch dies. At that moment, Xia Xinghe and her team were in the studio. Xia Ji and his colleagues stared at the stock chart in disbelief. We just won a single competition, and Cui Group stock is already crashing this hard? Since they signed with Shimu Bai, it was clear Cui Group was spiraling beyond recovery. But Xia Xinghe frowned. Something doesn't add up. Cui Ming might be arrogant, but he's no fool. He wouldn't just sit back and watch everything fall apart. She predicted that tonight would be the perfect time for him to make a move, and that he definitely would. Suddenly her phone rang. Xia Xinghe glanced at the caller ID and paused for a beat. She answered calmly, What is it? On the other end, Shimu Bai's voice was low and serious. Cui Ming won't let you off tonight. I'm sending security over now. Xia Xinghe responded coolly, For people will do. I'll cover the payment. Shimu Bai had expected her to decline. Instead, she agreed instantly. He raised an eyebrow, amused. This woman, she's sharper than I thought. After the call, Xia Ji asked curiously, Who was that? Xia Xinghe gave a small smile and replied, Get ready. Tonight we've got a serious fight ahead. As night fell, two men dressed in black crept toward Xia Xinghe's villa. The front gate swung open without a sound. They slipped silently into the living room like shadows in the dark. Suddenly, a faint rustling broke the silence, followed by the sharp flare of a match being struck. The flame lit up her face and those piercing black eyes locked directly onto them. The moment their eyes met, both men froze, visibly startled. They exchanged a quick glance without a single word. Then, without hesitation, they lunged straight toward her. But Xia Xinghe calmly blew out the match. Darkness swallowed the room in an instant, leaving the men momentarily stunned. And in that brief pause, Xia Ji, hidden in the shadows, knocked them both out cleanly in just a few swift moves. As the match flared once more, the two intruders were already tied up and unconscious on the floor. Xia Xinghe gave a satisfied nod. Take them downstairs. Don't let them disturb our upcoming guest. After the bodyguards dragged the men away, Xia Xinghe calmly returned to the sofa, picked up a book and began flipping through it as if nothing had happened. Soon after, the door creaked open again. A man swaggered in. Without looking up, Xia Xinghe asked casually, Shaoji, is that you? The man let out a low, mocking laugh. Xia Xinghe suddenly turned her head, eyes sharp as blades. It's you. The man looked surprised. He hadn't expected her to recognize him. Xia Xinghe's body went taut. You're the one who hit me with a car 6 years ago. The face. I'd never forget it. The man sneered. Well, since you've recognized me, there's no way I'm letting you leave alive. Xia Xinghe remained still, her eyes fixed on him. Why did you try to kill me? Was it Wu Rong who sent you? The man didn't answer. He simply raised the baton in his hand and lunged forward. Xia Xinghe yelled, If I'm going to die, at least let me die knowing the truth. It was Wu Rong 6 years ago and it's her now too, isn't it? The man scoffed. Yeah, so what? and with that he brought the baton crashing down. Xia Xinghe suddenly kicked over the candle holder, plunging the room into darkness. While the man was momentarily blinded, she struck with precision, landing a devastating blow. Down in the basement, a bucket of ice-cold water was thrown in the man's face without mercy. As he came to, Black Third glared at Xia Xinghe with venom in his eyes. "You little bitch. Even if I die, I, Black Third, won't say a word." Xiao Imo stepped forward and slapped him hard. "Watch your mouth. You're not even worth spitting on." Black Third sneered, casting Xiao Imo a chilling glare before letting out a raspy, mocking laugh. Xia Ji, unable to hold back, stepped up and kicked him in the gut. But Black Third remained defiant. "Go ahead. Kill me if you've got the guts." Xia Xinghe replied coldly, "There's no need. Everything you just said, I recorded it." Black Third sneered, "I can change my story anytime. You think a little recording counts as real evidence?" Xiao Montag frownet, puzzled. "What did Wu Rong give you that made you this loyal?" Xia Xinghe's cold voice cut through the tension. "He's staying silent because he believes Xia Wushuang is his biological daughter." Xiao Imo and Xia Ji stared at her in shock, their eyes wide. Even Black Third was stunned, his expression shifting. Xia Xinghe turned the laptop screen to face them. Zhao Long, also known as Black Third, is from an county in T-City, same as Wu Rong. 25 years ago the two worked at the same factory. Wu Rong left in county 2 years later, while Zhao Long only came to T-City 10 years ago. Every year since then, large sums of money have appeared in your account. You even went to the hospital for a paternity test. She stared him down, her voice calm but forceful. "Tell me, did I get anything wrong?" Black Third's pupils contracted. He hadn't expected her to uncover so much. Xiaji burst out laughing. "Well, that explains it. Birds of a feather really do flock together. What a house full of trash." Black Third roared in fury, "Don't you dare insult my daughter." Xia Xinghe coolly replied, "Are you sure she's really your daughter? Back when you did the paternity test, Wu Rong secretly wired 1,000,000 yuan to the doctor. You do understand what that implies, don't you?" Black Third snapped, his voice shaking with rage. "Lies. I won't fall for your tricks. You're just trying to mess with me." Xia Xinghe stood up and said calmly, "Then why don't we go ask Wu Rong ourselves?" Determined to confirm her suspicions, she led everyone straight to Wu Rong's residence. Meanwhile, Wu Rong and Xia Wushuang were anxiously waiting for word from Black Third. Wushuang looked worried, fearing he might crack and expose them if things went south. But Wu Rong remained calm and confident. "Relax. Even if he dies, he'll never betray us." Just then the doorbell rang. Wu Rong peeked through the peephole, and froze when she saw Xia Xinghe standing outside. Her face turned ghostly pale as she stumbled back 2 steps. Wushuang asked nervously, "Mom, what's going on?" Wu Rong stammered, It's Xia Xinghe." Wushuang panicked instantly. "Did Black Third mess up?" Wu Rong quickly steadied herself. "Don't panic. Even if he failed, he'd never betray us." Wushuang looked puzzled. Wu Rong grabbed her hand and whispered darkly, "Because he still believes you're his daughter." Wushuang's eyes widened in disbelief. "What?" Wu Rong took a breath, cracked open the door slightly and said coldly, "Xia Xinghe, what are you doing here?" Xia Xinghe replied with a smirk, "You really don't know why I came?" Before Wu Rong could react, she slammed into the door. Then with a swift kick she burst through, sending the stunned mother and daughter crashing to the floor. Seeing this, Wu Rong panicked and shouted, "Wushuang, call the police." Xia Xinghe responded coldly, "Call the cops? You mean to have them arrest you instead?" Wu Rong's face twisted. "What are you talking about?" Xia Xinghe leaned casually against the wall. "It's simple. Your plot to hire a killer has already been exposed. Black Third confessed everything. He said it was all under your orders." Wu Rong desperately denied it. "No. I don't even know who Black Third is." Xia Xinghe slowly stepped forward and Wu Rong instinctively backed away, her eyes full of guilt. "You thought he'd take the secret to his grave?" Xia Xinghe sneered. "Too bad he found out the truth. Wushuang was never his daughter." Wu Rong's mind went completely blank as if a bomb had gone off in her head. Xia Xinghe's voice pressed in like a blade. "Let me guess, you're wondering how he found out?" "Because I helped him. I uncovered the evidence that you bribed the doctor to fake the paternity test. Wu Rong and Wu Shuang stood frozen in place, stunned. Xia Xinghe asked coldly, if Wu Shuang isn't Black Third's daughter, why did you lie to him? Meanwhile, in a nearby car, Black Third was staring at the monitor, silently watching it all unfold. Inside, Wu Rong sneered, Black Third? He's trash. You think I'd have a child with someone like him? He was just a tool, someone I used to get rid of people I didn't like. And now the only one left to eliminate is you. Before she even finished, Wu Rong lunged forward with a fruit knife, eyes filled with murderous rage. In the car, Xiaji screamed in panic as he saw it happen. Xia Xinghe hadn't expected the sudden attack and narrowly dodged the blade. She quickly grabbed Wu Rong's wrist, twisted it sharply and slammed her to the ground. Wu Shuang screamed and rushed for the knife, but the moment her hand touched the handle, she froze. No, my life is just beginning. I can't destroy myself like this. Slowly, she pulled her hand away, trembling and uncertain. Xia Xinghe looked down at her with cold eyes. What's wrong? Backing out now? Didn't you and your mother plan all this to kill me? Wu Shuang shouted. I didn't know anything. Xia Xinghe narrowed her eyes. So you're saying this entire scheme was your mother's doing and you had nothing to do with it? Wu Shuang screamed in frustration. Yes. It has nothing to do with me. I didn't know anything at all. After Wu Rong was taken away by the police, Wu Shuang's only hope left was Chueming. But when she returned home, she was greeted by a house full of seizure notices. Inside, Chueming sat alone at the bar, drinking silently. Without turning his head, he asked, Is Xia Xinghe taken care of? Wu Shuang slumped, exhausted, and recounted everything that had happened. She begged him to help her get rid of Xia Xinghe, or everything she had would be stolen away. But Chueming just shook his head and sighed. I can't help you anymore. I'm bankrupt. Wu Shuang's tears began to fall as her face froze in disbelief. Chueming urged her to run, said he had no means to help her now. Suddenly, Wu Shuang grabbed his hand. No. I still have money. The 10 billion inheritance is with me. She pleaded, let's run together. We can start over overseas. Chueming's eyes welled up as if deeply moved. But she didn't notice the sinister smirk playing at the corner of his lips. He said seriously, Wu Shuang, trust me. That money will only be safe if it's in my account. We'll leave the country and start fresh. Knowing the police could seize it at any moment, Wu Shuang hesitated only briefly before nodding. Chueming told her to wait at the airport. He'd handle Xia Xinghe. Without a second thought, she agreed and followed his plan. Just as Wu Shuang stood waiting by the roadside, a blinding beam of headlights flashed across her face. Before she could react, a speeding truck came barreling toward her. With a terrified scream, she was hit head-on, bloodied and motionless, her fate uncertain. Meanwhile, Chueming, who had just packed up and was ready to escape with the money, opened the door, only to find Xiao Imo standing outside with 2 bodyguards. Without a word, Xiao Imo grabbed his collar and slammed a punch straight into his face. Elsewhere, Xia Xinghe and Xia Ji were waiting in a cafe, expecting to hear Chueming had been handed over to the police, when they suddenly got word he'd been seriously injured. The siblings rushed out of the cafe and were just approaching their parked car when, out of nowhere, a truck came hurtling straight at Xia Xinghe like a battering ram. She sensed the danger in a split second and leapt aside, narrowly avoiding the truck, but the impact sent her crashing hard to the ground. But the truck didn't stop. It swerved sharply, tires screeching, and charged back at her without hesitation. Just as the truck was about to crush Xia Xinghe beneath its wheels, a car suddenly swerved in from the side, slamming into the truck and knocking it off course. Xia Xinghe barely managed to open her eyes, shocked to see the driver was none other than Shi Mubai, and then her world went dark. Shi Mubai wasn't seriously hurt, just several scrapes and bruises, though he'd lost a fair amount of blood. Fortunately, Xia Xinghe didn't suffer major injuries. She had only fainted from the shock. After briefly tending to his wounds, Shi Mubai retreated to another room to rest. Meanwhile, Xia Ji stayed at his sister's bedside, watching over her in silence. In her sleep, Xia Xinghe looked restless. Beads of sweat formed on her forehead as if she were trapped in a nightmare. At that moment, Xia Xinghe found herself dreaming of a scene from 25 years ago. A memory from her childhood when her mother left. I end the dream. Her mother gently stroked her cheek and said softly, Xinghe, mommy has to go now. From now on you must live well and learn computer science. Maybe one day, we'll meet again. Little Xinghe asked anxiously, where are you going, mommy? I want to go too. Her mother smiled tenderly. To a faraway place, one only you can find. As her words faded, so did her figure. Young Xinghe cried out in panic, don't go. But no voice answered her, only silence remained. Xia Xinghe suddenly jolted awake in her hospital bed, crying out, Mom! She stared blankly at the ceiling, confused as to why she had dreamed of her mother so suddenly. And more importantly, what did her mother's words truly mean? Just as Xia Xinghe woke from her coma, she saw Shirmubai standing at the door. For a moment both of them froze. Shirmubai said, I'm being discharged soon. Thought I'd drop by and check on you. Xia Xinghe softly replied, thank you, for helping me all those times. Shirmubai paused, then said seriously, it's what I should do. After all, you're Xiaolin's mother. At the mention of Xiaolin, Xia Xinghe recalled how the boy called her mom. Her heart tightened slightly. She knew Shirmubai was a good father. But he was getting married soon. He'd have a new family, new children. She looked down and said, there's something I want to talk to you about. Just as she was struggling to find the right words, Chu Tianxin suddenly appeared, clinging sweetly to Shirmubai's arm, acting as if Xia Xinghe didn't exist. But Shirmubai didn't respond to Chu Tianxin at all. His eyes remained fixed on Xia Xinghe. What is it you wanted to talk to me about? He asked. Xia Xinghe chose not to say anything in the end. Shirmubai glanced at Chu Tianxin and said calmly, wait for me outside. Chu Tianxin blinked innocently. Why? What can't I hear? Shirmubai didn't reply, just shot her a cold glance. Seeing this, Chu Tianxin forced a smile and left. But the moment the door shut behind her, her expression twisted with rage. Not long after, Shirmubai also walked out of the room. Chu Tianxin hadn't expected him to come out so soon. She quickly plastered on a smile and tried to talk to him. But Shirmubai ignored her completely, striding away without a word. She had no choice but to chase after him, calling, Shirmubai, wait for me. In truth, even after Chu Tianxin left, Xia Xinghe still didn't bring up what she wanted to say. Something told her, it just wasn't the right time yet. Shirmubai didn't press her. He simply got up and left the room in silence. Not long after Shirmubai left, several police officers showed up. They said Wushuang insisted that Xia Xinghe had tried to kill her, so they needed to ask a few questions. Xia Ji angrily retorted, how could it be my sister? It was obviously Cui Ming. The officers sighed, explaining, honestly, we suspect Cui Ming too. But the driver won't confess and Wushuang keeps claiming your sister was the mastermind. Hearing this, Xia Xinghe remained calm and cooperative, agreeing to answer their questions. After a short inquiry, the officers left without further action. Xia Ji was still fuming, calling Wushuang brainless, but Xia Xinghe got out of bed and said flatly, let's go see her. In the hospital room, Xia Xinghe stood by the bed, staring at Wushuang, who was wrapped head to toe in bandages. Wushuang's eyes burned with hatred, glaring at her like she wanted to tear her apart. Xia Xinghe let out a cold chuckle. Surprising, you're actually still alive. Wushuang snapped, cursing Xia Xinghe furiously, wishing she could rip her to shreds. Xia Xinghe leaned in, her tone icy. You really think I'm the reason you ended up like this? Cui Ming used you to try to kill me, also he could pull off a perfect two birds one stone move. Wushuang screamed, liar. You're the one who tried to kill me. Xia Xinghe narrowed her eyes. Cui Ming knew you'd send someone after me. That's why he set the trap first. His men knocked me out, waited for He Lao-san to arrive, then killed him and pinned it on me. He even left clues for the cops, just to make sure the investigation would lead straight to you and your mom. But that's not the punchline. The real prize was the 10 billion inheritance. And guess who has it now? Quite the show, wasn't it?